Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at a game called Alone in the Dark, and I didn't expect this, but this is one of the best looking horror games I've tested on the Steam Deck, and it runs at 60 FPS with almost everything on medium or high settings. It is a complete reimagining of the original survival horror classic, this time running on Unreal Engine 4, and today I'm going to show you the settings I ended up choosing and how you can make it look really good and play really well, so let's break it all down. Now, Alone in the Dark is a Southern Gothic horror mystery set in the 1920s American South. You play as either Edward Carnby, a trenchcoat-wearing private investigator, voiced by none other than David Harbour, or you can play as Emily Hartwood, a woman searching for her missing uncle. Now, both characters explore the creepy Derceto Manor and its surrounding nightmares. The plot changes subtly depending on who you play with unique dialogues and scenes for each. This isn't just an action horror, it's a slow burn psychological storytelling with strong Resident Evil style pacing, puzzle solving, exploration, inventory management, and third person combat. And now the combat is not actually the focus of the game, and I think that's why it really plays well on the Steam Deck. Now the game leans heavily into atmosphere and narrative, and you'll be reading a lot of notes, finding keys, solving environmental puzzles, and uncovering the twisted mystery behind the missing uncle. It mixes real-world trauma and supernatural horror, death, isolation with monsters, nightmarish realms, and hallucinations, and thanks to great voice acting and top-tier lighting, it nails the mood. By the way, did you know that I've created a Steam group and a Steam Curator page where I share all my reviews in a written form and I share all the best settings for the games I review. It will be awesome if you guys check that out and follow me there. Now let's talk performance on the Steam Deck. Alone in the Dark is a demanding game, but it is super well optimized if you tweak the right settings. Now out of the bat, when I jumped in, I was able to get between 65 and 90 FPS on the lower settings, but it doesn't quite look that great. There's a lot of issues with the hair, so really lower settings, I would not recommend it. In the beginning, I was actually able to get it to above 60 FPS, even on the highest settings. However, after you get past the initial 30 minutes of gameplay, you're gonna notice that it doesn't quite hold the good FPS at these settings. There's a lot of fog in the game and there's a lot of lighting, and that will be very heavy performance-wise. So you're gonna have to end up tweaking the settings a little bit if you want smooth performance. Unfortunately, 90 FPS is not achievable even at the lowest settings, so my target is to aim for 60 FPS or 30 FPS if you want to conserve battery. The game does have upscaling. It has DLSS and FSR. This time we're using just FSR. I have not modded it in any way, so it's just sticking with FSR, and I believe it's FSR 2 or 3. And you can set that to either balanced or quality, and you're gonna have a pretty great time. Now, here's actually what worked best for me on the Steam Deck in terms of settings. I have set FSR to quality, I have turned off VSync, and I have put an FPS cap of 60, and most of these settings are gonna be on medium, so I have volumetric quality, ambient occlusion, view distance, and detail settings set to medium. Now, particles quality, I've set these to high. If you set these to medium, you're going to notice some issues with the character's hairs. So it's best to just set this to high so it looks a little bit better. Now, screen space reflections, subsurface gathering, shadow quality, post-processing, I've set these to medium. Texture quality high, anti-aliasing quality high, and everything else you can set to medium, and anisotropic filtering set to 8. Now, this gives you 55 to 60 FPS, mostly stable with 1% lows being around 55 even in heavier scenes, and this will give you around 3 hours of battery life on the OLED. Now if you're chasing longer sessions, you can limit the FPS to 30 and boost a few settings to high, and you'll get a nice visual bump, and you can also get 4.5 hours of battery on the OLED. Now on the LCD model, battery life is about an hour shorter across the board, so with the 60 FPS mark, you're looking at around 2.5 hours, just a little bit under 2.5 hours. And with FPS limited to 30, it's close to about 3 hours. Performance is mostly the same, just watch out for the temps. Some areas can make the LCD deck run a bit hot. And now the game has full controller support and all the right button prompts are presented on the screen. You don't need to use the trackpad or anything like that. Everything works cleanly out of the box. However, the game is marked only as playable and it has not been verified because apparently some text in game can be a bit hard to read. As I said, there's gonna be a lot of letters that you can find, and text there can be a bit small to read on the OLED screen. Personally, I didn't have any issues. The text is usually being narrated as well, so I'm not sure why it's being marked as playable for that, but I guess it can happen. Navigating the menus and inventory is pretty smooth and pretty intuitive. Now, I did run into some stuttering when entering new areas, especially if you're sprinting. You can drop FPS to as low as 5 and it will stutter for a second. I ended up solving this by enabling shader pre-caching in the options. It's actually a setting that you can toggle, and the next time you run the game, it will take a little bit longer to start, but you will have loaded some shaders, and this will solve the issue of stuttering. Now, the game also has HDR. However, I was not able to turn that on. Regardless of what I did, for some reason, it just doesn't seem to work right now on the Steam Deck. I've seen other people share the same opinion. I'm not sure why that is. But with or without it, the game looks absolutely stunning, especially on the OLED. It looks pretty great. Now, Alone in the Dark is a love letter to an old school horror with modern polish, and it's atmospheric, creepy, and deliberate. In conclusion, on the deck, it runs way better than I expected, especially with these optimized settings, and I really do recommend checking it out. I'll link to it in the description. You can purchase it on the Steam store. So that's gonna be it for this video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more Steam Deck content, hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.